Good evening and welcome to News Channel 8. I'm Jerome Aegean, and here's some of the top stories we have for you tonight. Governor Juan Louis is laid to rest on St. Croix. The aftermath of Bloody Wednesday as 600 government workers are sent home. And get ready, the I Am Every Man contest is coming to St. Croix. These stories and more up next on News Channel 8. In our top story tonight, flags are still at half-mast as Virgin Islands says goodbye to former Governor Juan Francisco Louis. News Channel 8's Wes Small files this report.
Thank you very much, Jerome. A very solemn day indeed as we pay our final respects to a very loved governor, Juan Francisco Louis. Just a few words about Juan Louis.
Juan Louis is a personal individual, a very wonderful and great person who could have touched anyone's lives, from the grassroots to individuals in the higher echelon in business or in professional services. He was one who just knew how to bridge that gap. And I am just happy to be associated with the service here today, not because I'm providing the services, but just to be here and among the people to show our respects to his wife, Luz, and his children, Charlotta, and also Juan Louis, his son. And we're here to really and truly give that honorable respect that is due to a statesman, because he was a statesman in many ways, as well as the governor of the United States Virgin Islands, and the longest sitting governor. And we must acknowledge that and say how wonderful we are today because of what he did in his earlier days.
Okay, and now we have VIPD Police Commissioner Novell Francis Jr. Novell, I know that you feel very good about your men and women out here in dress whites. This has been a rough 2 weeks for you. Not only how you have to make sure the pomp and circumstance is proper, help from the National Guard and so forth, but that your men and women are doing the traffic and the perimeter safely, at the same time making sure the area is safe from anything that might go wrong, traffic congestion. But I have to tell you, everything looks very smooth. People are very patient. And so with all that, on a more personal note, your feelings on how we've lost another true great Virgin Island hero, Juan Louis.
Yeah, of course, today is a day that the police department will always participate in terms of ensuring that we have traffic controls for any normal funeral. But today is a special day. We have a special individual to the Virgin Islands Police Department and the Virgin Islands community that mourns the passing of Governor Juan Francisco Louis. So I think there's a lot of true feelings that goes into our duties and responsibilities today because of the great individual that he was. As a young man myself, I had an opportunity growing up here in the Virgin Islands to actually witness this individual. He had happened to be a classmate of my mother, and I have seen times where he embraced and encountered my mother on many occasions. She was a nurse, and I know that when he came through the hospital and even in grocery stores, that he have always been pleasant, and there always been a communication between her. So certainly I feel good in the sense that we have come here to mourn a significant individual, but certainly a person that will live in our hearts and minds for many years to come. And I know that when the history books are written time and time again, that Juan Louis will certainly be a main objective in that process.
All right, and in conclusion, if I could say that, what a great governor Juan Louis really was. I'm here now with former senator, former lieutenant governor, Bargrave Richards, and we've lost two giants in the last 2 weeks, sir, but the finale here with Governor Juan Francisco Louis, 70 years old, and you could see that he was one of the, if not the, most beloved governors in all of VI history. As you remember your friend today, some words, sir.
Well, first of all, may God bless and keep him, and may God bless and keep Mrs. Louis. I came to know Governor Louis then firstly as a teacher. He was my teacher in the 6th grade. And let me tell you something about that man. He was a tough teacher, and he took control of his classroom. Any teacher knows that the first step in running a class is in having classroom control, and he had that totally. And he imparted knowledge from the standpoint of his experience and his care and his compassion. And I think the genius in a man is in his humility. This gentleman cared about people first. His interest was, how do we make people better? And I think that came across to people, and that's why you're hearing all the good things about him as we speak today. His compassion led him to be slow in criticism, slow in laying off people, slow in his ability to make his decision, but concise and courageous.
That's a wonderful way to close this out. With former Senator and Lieutenant Governor Bargrave Richards. Here we are on Company Street, and as you could see from the outpouring of sharing, caring, and love, he was again one of the most popular and loved Virgin Island governors in our history. Juan, may you rest in peace. I'm Wes Small for News Channel 8.
Thanks, Wes. And in other news tonight, the aftermath of 600 government workers being terminated as being left and felt throughout our territory this evening. News Channel 8's Wes Small has more.
Senator Neville James, I have to tell you this, even on this solemn occasion, I have to ask you about this. 600 government workers sent home in one day. Remember, it was just a few weeks ago out in Frederickstead when you, Senator O'Reilly, and Senator Positive Nelson, we were all talking about this. It looks like this day could have been inevitable. Now, you senators met and had a 3 o'clock press conference, I believe, right after that announcement yesterday from Government House on the news the 600 go home. Where are we today?
Well, for purposes of clarifying the record, the governor had a press release or a press conference, whatever it was, yesterday morning where he made this announcement. He claimed that an agreement that he agreed to with the majority caucus of the 29th legislature was reneged on. That triggered a response from the majority senators, the 10 of them. I think Senator Hansen was absent, or she called in on the phone. They held an impromptu response press conference, and then we made a public statement yesterday on WSTX. And I could pretty much give you some excerpts of what we said yesterday. Number one, we don't support the laying off of 600 people. Number one, we don't support the 8% reduction simply because the 8% reduction in effect could turn out to be 12 to 15%. Keep in mind, Wes, that when you reduce somebody's salary by 8%, while that might be a reduction in the obligations as it relates to expenditures for the government of the Virgin Islands, it also reduces revenues generated by the government of Virgin Islands, because that means less withholding tax is going to be collected. Number two, if people have less disposable income, that means that they have less money to spend. That means that gross receipts, another revenue generating area for the government of the Virgin Islands, is going to be adversely impacted. Three, if there's less spending in the stores, that means that there's going to be less people employed, because the stores are now going to have to absorb that financial hit. So what we need now, Wes, and we told you this 3 weeks ago, and I'm going to say it again. We need a fair and comprehensive analysis of where we are as it relates to the government's finances. That's number one. Yes. Number two, regardless of what plan you put in place, there must be the discipline to manage and to implement said plan. And our concern in the Next Generation Leadership Caucus is that we don't believe that there has been proper management of government funds and revenues over the last 4+ years. And we will see what is going to happen next week. The majority has stated that they have a bill in place that will not require the laying off of these 600 employees. And we'll see what happens next week. But we have some solid positions that we are going to put on the table next week as well. We don't want to get in the middle of a fight between the governor and the majority caucus, because as the public well knows, this majority caucus was formed 2 days after the election at the request of the governor, because they wanted to put together a majority caucus that was going to work with the governor. So now if they have a domestic dispute, they're going to have to fix their domestic dispute. We're not going to get involved in that.
All right, that was Neville James, and now we're going to get right to it, to the majority and the Senate President, Ronald Russell. Senator, thank you very much. I know you're very busy today with Juan Louis' funeral and everything, but let's get to the 600 people that were supposedly sent home yesterday. Y'all had that 3 o'clock meeting yesterday afternoon, and a lot of things were said. Senator, a lot of people are watching you tonight. Is there any hope at the end of this dark, dark tunnel?
Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, the legislature has provided hope. Let me say, Wes, that our solution solves the problem. The governor don't have to send home people before September 30th. We have solved the problem. We have met with the unions, and we're still tweaking the bill. If we take a reduction in pay, and we're looking at a staggered reduction now because that was provided by the union, we will be able to get back to the table with the governor and ask the governor to rescind his decision, because we are now coming up with the money. West, this is about money to cover a deficit. If you come up with the money, and this was the promise that the governor made to us, that if we were supposed to close the gap for the deficit with money, there would be no terminations or layoffs. We have closed the gap with the money. We don't expect any terminations. There may be some negotiations that have to come between now and next Wednesday when we go into session, but I guarantee you we are not giving up until we could get the people that were targeted for termination removed from the list.
Now, there's a lot of rumor, melee, and speculation out there. Are people, today's payday, government pay, are people getting pink slips in their paychecks today, or is it too early just yet?
I would hope not. I think it's absolutely premature. The governor made his announcement. Today was the Wang Louis funeral. I saw him there, I spoke to him, and he intimated through his chief of staff that let's work this out. And I told him I'll get back to him. So this is a negotiation that's a work in progress. Although he made that statement, before any pink slips are sent out, we need to meet and we need to give him the numbers that would avoid the terminations, because it's about money and it's about numbers.
Who has the final say to send 600 people home in one day? Is it the governor or the legislature? Can you do anything about his decision?
No, we can't. He has the final say. What we're able to do is to give him the money so that he'll have the money to pay them and not terminate them. But even if we give him the money, he has the final say and he could terminate them despite what the legislature proposes.
Is there any advice that you could give government workers out there tonight? Any message at all as we conclude this?
Well, I think they should have faith in the Senate. Okay. The 29th legislature has a group of really good leaders. I'm the president, and I'm expected to lead, but we have leaders, all of them in their own right, and they're all working for the people, and we will attempt as best as we could to deal with the governor and his plan, and then we'll come back to the people with a solution.
Thank you. Senate President Ronald Russell. I'm Wes Small for News Channel 8.
Thanks, Wes. When we come back from this break, your Caribbean report plus more. Stay with us.